Hey traders from around the world, what's going on? It's your boy Jeremy Alexander Newsome with reallifetrading.com. Hope you're doing splendid. It is indeed Monday, which means I got a free real life stock review for you today. SPY, the ETF that tracks the S&P 500, it'll be making new all-time highs pretty soon. Maybe even by the end of this week or next week. Definitely by the end of the month, I would imagine, or wager. And yeah, trend looks nice. Looking good, feeling good. That's pretty much all I got on the SPY. Here's the Qs. And again, I was talking about this recently. Me and my buddy Neil have a wager on the Qs saying when it makes an all-time high. Because again, I don't think it's an if, it's more like when. And I do think it'll happen, again, probably by the end of the month. Our line in the sand was August 16th. Which again, I mean, if you have some shares or an ETF, if you have some shares or some positions on the Qs, that is certainly strong, you know, so the trend looks really nice from what I can tell. Here's Facebook, and Facebook, nice move on Facebook today. Look at that volume coming in. This is one I was looking at this morning. Today was actually Mentorship Monday, and I was discussing at open, I was like, guys, if Facebook gaps above the high of Friday, which it did, so Friday had almost a perfect doji, and the high was 178.85. Today we opened at 178.97. This was a beautiful gap on Facebook, and the first few minutes, I mean, once it popped out right here, huge killer breakout, really nice move. I mean, that was just sensational. So Facebook up 4.45% today at 185 a share, and I've been mentioning since the gap down, I did think it was going to go a little bit lower short term, but there was no question in my mind that Facebook will and still will continue to fill this gap over time, just because it doesn't make any sense to me. They just absolutely crushed earnings, but more or less said, hey guys, we can't make as much money as we used to as fast as we did, and we can't grow as fast as we have been growing, you know, forever. So, you know, I love the gap, I love the volume, and at this point, I'm not saying you should, if you're not in Facebook, you should buy right this second. But I think a little bit of a pullback makes sense. Maybe some type of dip comes in tomorrow, the next day. But yeah, I do think Facebook continues higher. So congrats, Sandra, Huberto, Julian, Victor, Ashley, all the other traders out there. Ricky, numerous traders bought Facebook the last 3 or 4 days last week. So well done being in that one. Here's Turtle Beach, ticker symbol HEAR. And we finally had a black candle. White candle gapping up. So Fernando and Diego and a few other traders locked in some gains on Turtle Beach today. So they got in really just buying the dip off of the moving averages right in here. Very nice pennant pattern. You had an inside day candle right here. Perfect inside day, and that's the day that it makes a higher high and a higher low. So there were a few real life traders in this particular trend. I was not one of them, but overall it worked out well, and we just slowly kind of grind higher over time, and it worked out, you know, in your favor. So if you played HEAR, well done. From here, what are you going to do? Tread cautiously, I guess is all I can say, because it's not like it's just, you know, astronomically high. Or is it? Yeah, it is. Here's the weekly, and the weekly, I mean, remember, you know, we've gone up, what is it, 800% in the last few months. That's pretty massive. So be really cautious buying up here. If I was personally buying, I'd probably wait for it to come back down to 25, 46, maybe even 23. I agree that buying the dip is probably the smart move, but the last time you had a few white candles in a row, followed by a white candle gapping up into a bearish candle like this, we did have a little bit of lower lows. So I think that that is a possibility on HER, but the trend is bullish, so just buy the dip. Activision Blizzard, ticker symbol ATVI, down 1% today, and this was, I can take that off the list. Here's the long-term moving averages, and bottom line, you had a white candle gapping up on earnings, big bearish candle closing, filling the gap, bearish engulfing pattern, and at the particular moment in time, it looks like Activision Blizzard's just going to hang out. This is the daily chart. Here's a weekly, and what's interesting to note is on a weekly chart, this is a tweezer top. Tweezer top. This is also kind of like an evening star reversal pattern, so these highs are the exact same. So my vote is that Activision probably goes a little bit lower, and actually I'd love to see it trade all the way back to 58.82. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, But if you're looking at buying, or you've been waiting to buy Activision, I probably would say let a little bit more of a pullback come in, because again, this weekly chart's just been really, really strong. But you have one of the strongest reversal patterns out there, and yeah, we're getting some pullbacks. So on the daily chart, I think the 200 is almost a no-brainer, and then from there, maybe we could go a little bit lower. As with last few days, last time it broke below the 200 a little bit, broke below the 200 a little bit. So I don't think it stops right there. We maybe go a little bit lower. And if it goes a little bit lower and then breaks down, then you probably want to trade it all the way down here to 58. So for my day traders, you could experience a nice little move in between here and here for some day trading activity. In fact, I'll put that on my list for tomorrow, Tuesday morning, and just watch to see if Activision has a little bit of a bearish follow through. Cool. Had another request for UMC. Had a lot of requests today. UMC, what do we got on this one? This is United Electronics. Daily chart does have good volumes, a little bit of a choppy stock, kind of cheap. Let's go look at it on a weekly. Interesting. Weekly chart, monthly chart. It does appear that it pays some type of dividend. The big target on this one for UMC would be the 200 simple on a monthly, which is at $3.32, which is not massively far away from where we are. That also coincides with a old support, new resistance from back over here. So if you're playing it bullish, which does look like that's the trend, trade it into that resistance and lock in some profits. If and when UMC breaks out of there, well, be bullish. Next on the list, CHGG. And CHGG, it's about to pull up the monthly chart. Strong trend on the monthly. So that looks good. Volume looks good. Here's the daily chart that we're looking at. And this one is trying to form a little bit of a double bottom potentially. So you had a pretty quick sell-off the last, what day was that? 27th and 30th after earnings. Pretty fast sell-off down into the 100, trying to see if there's been another time recently where it sold off quickly only to eventually bounce off the 100. Kind of this area around November maybe. It is a strong trend. It's moved pretty far, right? So we've gone from $10 in May 2017 to $27 now. It looks actually kind of bullish because a lot of people probably thought this was going to be a double top. They did not wait for a close below the neckline, and they're likely in bearish right now. So if you're looking at playing CHGG, the way I would probably play it is this hourly chart. And yeah, I'd be getting in bullish pretty much about now with a break above 27.75. And my stop loss would be $25.75. $2 of risk. See if it can bounce, make it a little bit of a continuation and a follow through. Trend is bullish on CHGG. Here is OLED. OLED up 2% today. This one just got absolutely scorched. Earnings right around the corner, but it is breaking above the 100. Last time they had earnings, it gapped down and trade higher. The time before that, they really gapped down and just got absolutely ragged. So I think it's slowly making a comeback. There's a lot of room on Universal Display Corporation to keep climbing. So my thought, keep an eye on this one because it is also bouncing off of a weekly. So you got the weekly moving averages. We're stuck right in between there. Keep your eyes on earnings. Watch for this pattern to really kind of form an S-curve, something like that over the next few weeks. See what earnings does, right? If it gaps up, let it trade down, buy into the dip. But I do like this lower low. And in fact, I don't know for sure if it is forming a divergence or not. Let's go check it out. RSI, yep, did indeed form a bullish divergence. Nice. So there's a lower low. Here's the higher low, which means that, doesn't mean it's going to go bullish, but it does mean that the short-term bearish momentum has began to wane. And if you're looking at playing it long, or at least bullish to neutral makes sense, just keep in mind that earnings is around the corner. My buddy Brian playing NKTR, he has found that this is going to be the stock that he plays really often. I'm actually just going to scroll back up here. Here's Brian. He loves posting these great memes. Scroll up. So here's it. He said 0.5 R's on NKTR, only play of the day. Here's how he did it. Played this little double top, kind of a little bit of a breakdown. Nice looking move. So here's the daily chart on NKTR. This is one that we have been watching really closely ever since it started just, really grinding very, very closely. super small candles. We started watching it really close right about here, the 7th, 13th, 12th, 16th. So anyway, yeah, nice trade. A trade up into the 50. Earnings right around the corner. This one does like to gap pretty fiercely, so keep your eyes on earnings. Figure out what it's going to end up doing. If it gaps down into the 47 region, I mean, it probably would be more viable than anything. If it gaps up too large, like 69 or 70, it probably fades, most likely. But looking at the weekly, yeah, it's at a pivotal spot for sure. So earnings is going to really decipher and decide what this thing does shorter term. But anyway, Brian, good job playing it. This is a volatile stock. You can get a lot of movement on this one pretty frequently. Watch it closely. We'll see what it does on earnings. If it gaps up, you know, like I said, 65, 66, that would be a good bullish gap. If it gapped up to 60, that could be a good bullish gap. So I'm expecting the gap to fade, just depending on where it opens, but I'm sure we'll be looking at that one again later down the road. 3 left. Here's ticker symbol EW. And EW is Edward Life Sciences. Earnings are behind us on this one. You had a pretty decent little gap down. Here's your long-term moving averages. We're holding off the 100 there. Here's the weekly. And again, you can see a decent little bullish trend. The big challenge on this one is you did have a bearish candle close below this neckline. So there's the neckline. There's the close, which means a lot of people hopped on bearish. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to go lower, but it does mean that if the bears get trapped, you might be able to take advantage of that. So I would kind of argue a close above here would be pretty nice. Bullish end of day close above 170.14, and depending on how aggressive you want to be and what your time frame is, your stop could be all the way the heck down here at 139. That'd be a pretty conservative stop. Or of course, you could start slowly inching it higher. If you have a little bit more of an aggressive time frame, want to play it like that, 142, that makes sense. Here's your hourly chart. And let's see if I can take any good takeaways from the hourly. Hourly, it does appear that it's making higher lows. So there's the higher lows on the hourly. So yeah, if it starts slowly creeping up and you're looking at playing it bullish, I think there's a lot of bears that are trapped. And it would actually make sense to me if EW does slowly grind higher. Tesla and then PayPal. So Tesla, I have a large iron condor on Tesla right now. Very, very big. 400, 410, 250, 240. Keep in mind, this is a bullish retest gap, number one. Number two, this is an evening star reversal right now, and I kind of dig that. This is also, technically today, is like a new black crow candle because Friday was a white candle, and today we gapped down a little bit. So I'm also going to be putting Tesla on my list for tomorrow morning. TSLA along with Activision, and we'll see if this thing gaps down tomorrow, because on a 5-minute chart, actually it's probably best to see on an hourly. On an hourly chart, you can see it took out the lows of some pretty interesting candles. I'm not saying it's going to go to zero, but if you get a little bit of a gap down or some support breaking down on Tesla, you'd probably be looking at a very short-term bearish trade, as it could trade down into here, kind of fill this gap, and then potentially bounce. But realistically, I'm still real neutral on Tesla. I did buy the close, those September week 1 put sales. Those are gone. Plus the high of today and the high, wow, 2 pennies away from a perfect tweezer top. So yeah, watch Tesla kind of closely just the next few days for some quick bearish moves, and then we'll just kind of see what she does from there. But I love the Condor. There is still money in it if you want to consider one. Just saying. Here's PayPal, last but not least, PYPL. Benjamin, Jim, Mark, Rick, Tom, and Frank, a few other traders in on PayPal bullish. You got yourself a lot of bearish volume that came in down here on the 31st. Got that high wave bearish candle right at the 100, and the very next day, PayPal closed above the high wave upper shadow of that really big bearish volume candle. So that was kind of the bounce, right? Today was an inside day candle on PayPal. The trend is still bullish. So it is my interpretation of the weekly chart that we will likely and probably keep just slowly grinding higher. I like it. It looks good. I like PayPal. I use them. I know how they make money. And longer term, I would see, and it would make a lot of sense to me that PayPal does continue higher. You did have a pretty gnarly bearish gap not too long ago, back over here on the 26th. So just kind of factor that in. But I mean, looking at the hourly, it really already had its dip. So here was the S curve right here, and so now, right, so if we come over here, so this was the move. So here's the S curve, boom. I'd be looking for another one. So if it breaks out, boom, something like that, and let it slowly keep grinding higher. So yeah, short term, some quick bullish plays I think will be easy, and then just kind of watch to catch something exactly like that happened right there. Catch it, buy the dip, and keep owning PayPal. Longer term, I think by the end of the year, it gets into triple digits. 111.12 is my end of 2018 target on PayPal. All right, team, that's pretty much it for me. Today was a pretty interesting day. So I did have 2 trades I took on SeaWorld. Lost on both of them. Phenomenal bullish gap and go. Everything was great. Just didn't really bounce where I wanted it to bounce and didn't really get in, I guess, at good prices. So I got in here with a stop way down here, and ended up moving that stop up a little bit and lost 0.8 Rs there. And then I got in here on that pullback with the stop there, got stopped out for 1 hour loss on SeaWorld. So overall, SeaWorld got me today for pretty much 1.9 Rs. And then I also lost very small on ACAD, Cadia. This was a good gap, black candle gap down. It was a retest gap. Just never really did much. My entry was here, my original stop was there, and I exited a little early right there. Even though if I just left my stop alone, I could have gotten out for like a 0.2 R gain an hour before the market closed. So yeah, definitely wouldn't have been a loss, but it wasn't fantastic. So with all those being said, that had me down 2.5 Rs for the day, and then I did buy to close a put sale on Seagate Technology. So here's about STX, so this is an 86 limit sell. This is one that expires in 2 weeks. And since I was having a red day and this was profitable, earnings were done, and you know, it's a really good location. I went ahead and bought those back for 22 cents. So really pretty much a 64-cent gain across 3 contracts. Really not that bad. Was able to get right at half an R on those. So on the day, down pretty much exactly 2 R actually, and that's going to bring me to 3.91 Rs for August. Excited to see if we can battle back. Got some trade setups, got some options also expiring this Friday on TLT, so I got a bear call spread on TLT. That'll throw another R my way. Here's TLT right here, and again, I'm pretty sure that expires worthless. 125, 126 bear call spread. Should be good to go on that one. I do have an iron condor on US Steel, which is going to get pretty close. So I do expect US Steel to slowly go lower, down into that $30 price range, and then potentially, maybe, hopefully bounce out of there and the bull put spread expire worthless. But I'll be watching that really close. So we'll see how August ends. Still fresh, still early. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to your Monday Real Life Stock Review. And until next time, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye.